So I built this building a little while ago now, and it seems like every time you build a building, you can't build it big enough. I've kind of run into that problem here now. So what I'm looking at trying to do is add on another section to this side over here. Here's kind of some rough drawn sketches of what I was planning on doing. These have changed a little bit the more I've thought about it. So right now, from end to end, it is about 18 feet. I want to add another 10 foot off that side, and then that way I would be able to put a vehicle in here, or a car or a pickup truck. Then what I want to go ahead and do is put a door on this wall instead, and then these doors on this wall, these two I would close off and just make it a wall. And then those two I don't really use a whole lot, but on that side I want to put in that door right there. So then I would have a regular entry door there. Then the rest of this would just be a normal wall. Then I could relocate all of my tools and workbench onto the opposite wall on the other end. And then, of course, while I'm at it, I had a tree break off from an ice storm. Actually, I didn't even know. It was one of them two or one from over there. I want to go ahead and address fixing that roof. So, yeah, let's see how long this is going to take. That works too. Whoops. Alright, so I got this machine for a little bit to do a couple other jobs, but I got some issues here. These trees, I really built this building like in a really bad spot, so there's a couple of these pine trees that are pretty close I want to get rid of. This one, probably that one and that one. And I want to get all this scrappy stuff out of here and dig this down a little bit because I want to, I don't know, push over some of these pine trees because they're just going to fall anyways. That should do a pretty good job of that. I like this machine. I'm just trying to be careful. I'm getting there. Alright, so this is a little while later. I ended up getting all this opened up like how I wanted it to. Still need to kind of go over and finish grade it. Also got that white oak that was over here out. Still gotta fill back in that a little bit. This looks pretty good over here. I did tip into the hole a little bit and had a little bit of damage. Come on.
just picked this thing up. You know, yeah, it's not like a super fancy toolbox, but for the money, it should be pretty good because I'm like completely out of storage in this thing. All these drawers are all full. That one doesn't have as much stuff in it, but yeah. Alright, this thing's pretty cool. I got this as a gift. Let me go get a LP tape. I guess that's a good use for it too. Oh, it was a nice set of chisels and punches. I got those. Got some trim tools, tire pressure gauge thing, and a spark plug gapper. Get the wasp out of here. Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. This style blowtorch, you know, these aren't really meant for starting fires and stuff, but they honestly are terrible. Alright, lightning just struck like right over there on the other side of that field. So, I don't really like the idea of waving around a level and being up on a ladder when I got lightning all around me.
And it looks like it's just gonna be like this for the rest of the day. So, got all these up. Looking pretty good. I cannot remember, I don't think ever in my life there's been a summer where it has rained so much. And it is like into July, and it's still, it's raining like every other day. Been cutting all the lumber and stuff over here. That's where I got it stockpiled. I'm trying to keep out of the rain. But I mean, look at this hole. I dug this just to get some dirt. And then, I mean, it's kind of nasty looking, but like that's 4 feet deep. And there's a bunch of frogs apparently. And Moline loves to swim in here. But I got a bunch of bullfrogs. See them? Look at that. That's kind of cool. There you go. All right, so that's 3/8 rod, and I got those. I got 4 on each side, and that's gonna give it a lot more strength because I did. It's hard to see now, but I got quite a few screws in there. But you know, that's kind of what you're comparing there. 1/4-inch rod compared to the strength of these deck screws. I did them up there on that one. This one's held up great. Now let's see what we have to do to try and get that up there. Alright, so I don't know what happened. Yesterday I had probably about 6 hours worth of time-lapse footage of doing this, and I have no idea where it went. So, I mean, obviously it's done, and I have some clips of me like halfway through it, but I don't actually have the time-lapses of me doing all the work, which is a little frustrating. Kind of tops off a already kind of bad day I was having, but I guess it's done. I just didn't get to see it get done. Vamos. Alright, got everything squared and cut to length. I am going to be very surprised if that can pull that up this slight incline. I have a good feeling I'm going to have to take half that off there. Alright, I've never had one of these before, so I'm gonna see how much better it is using one of these. This hammer pounded every single nail in on the original part. I did it all by hand. I literally just fixed this thing yesterday. Alright, got that running. I literally just cleaned the carb on that yesterday. Started first pull, and then today, I don't know, just went a little easier. But
Alright, I got this entire wall done. And this one. Yeah, that thing is way better than pounding them in by hand. Not really quite sure what just happened there. Oh. It might be time for a new air compressor. I think I'm just not gonna use this anymore. Do 4 of those. 4 of those on this side as well. Alright, I got like one of those up there. This thing. Oh. That must be what all those little pieces are. This project keeps getting more expensive. I keep having to buy more and more tools. So I guess I need an air compressor now. I'm guessing this goes here. It looks like a muffler. Alright, I didn't go super fancy the compressor for a couple reasons. One, a good air compressor is expensive, which I was actually getting ready to spend a bunch of money on one. And I happened to get this one because my limitation is that. This old Craftsman here has a 3.5 horsepower motor on it. This one here is only 1.5. And the only thing I'm worried about with this one compared to that other one is how long this one's going to take to fill up with the smaller horsepower motor. Alright. Down here is a valve. Oh, I guess there's a little bit of air in there from the factory. Alright, let's see how long it takes this thing to fill up. Alright, I missed it. This thing just shut off. Took a little over 2 minutes to get to 100, just below 150 psi. This one's also got a regulator, so then this over here, the tool. See it moving. You can adjust how much psi you want to your tool. So that air gun calls for 120 max, so that's like 125. I don't know if that's easier to see now. It's at 125. I'm gonna back it down a little bit. I think it's probably got it. Roofing nailer. It says intermittently. A lot of this other stuff, not recommended. Is that hot? It's kind of hot. Yeah, that's hot. Alright, let's see what this thing does. Alright, got this thing hooked up. Got my PSI for my tool set. I got like 140-ish PSI in the tank. Got my nailer. Couple extra for support. That one didn't go in very good. Let's see what happens when you shoot a box with an air nailer. I guess they just go straight through and into the dirt. Pick those up so we don't have no flat tires. Those straight in the garbage. Alright, let's just pepper burn this thing and see what happens. I don't know, this thing might not be as bad as I thought it. Got those all put up there. My ends are different lengths, but I will cut those off after I know exactly how far the metal's gonna stick past. This air compressor, honestly, I'm not gonna say I'm impressed with it, but it did better than I thought it would. I don't think that generator's running 100%, honestly. I already tore it apart and cleaned it once, but I'm wondering if there might be more issues. Cooking a little bit. I got this grill for free. What do you think? Huh? You hungry? You smell me cooking?
For your
All right, got this wall all trimmed out. Just need to make one piece here for my corner trim. This wall is also trimmed and looks pretty good. Just leaving a gap here at the moment, so that way, for whatever reason, if I need to get in here, I can. Only here. Here. You look pretty messy. All right, I think I'm pretty much ready for a roof. Let's put a roof on this thing. All the trim off. This little stuff's got so much nails in it, it's not really even worth trying to burn. You might as well just throw it away. All right, got material for 2 jobs. Strap down, good to go. Get these solar panels off because these last 3 sheets are damaged. All right, got those solar panels down. I need to take these 3 sheets off. Also trying to get a bunch of this stuff done because even though it's like the end of September, it is still, tomorrow's supposed to be in the 90s, and 90s and up on a metal roof is not very fun. It's pretty hot. So trying to get some stuff done tonight while it's fairly cool. Now we gotta start putting it back together.
of the panels up. Got those other ones replaced. Taken down. Just short a little bit on the ridge cap for the overhang part. Fortunately, my dad stopped over. He helped me get the material at least up here. And now all I got to do is just go back and put all of the screws in. Just have them tacked at the top so they don't move. Got my ridge cap in. Looks pretty good. Good enough for who it's for, at least. All right. That's what it looks like from down on the ground. A little wavy because there's no screws in the entire bottom half of it. And then inside here, it's super nice. All right, let's get the rest of those screws in there. Then also in here, got these sheets replaced. It doesn't really look any different because the damage is pretty much all on the eaves. But those pieces are new. And all bent up. Just a little wavy. All right, now let's get some screws in there. Just gotta cut a small piece of ridge cap for my overhang here. Trim off those. Let's take this wall out. Got these first few boards down. I think it's gonna be too bad to take the siding off this wall. And I want to go ahead and close this in now that I'm opening that up. Those last 4 pieces on. What'd you think? So I gotta do my corner trims there and there. You can still see in. And you can kind of start to get the idea. Pretty much got this opened up. This support happens to be holding up the shelf, which I took off, which is also holding up this inverter, which neither of those are going to be there long term. That shelf and the whole solar thing I'm done with, so that needs to come down. I just need to do that. Otherwise, this is the far back wall where the door's going to be, looking in, and I'm pretty happy. That's actually gonna be, I think it'll be enough space. Didn't do too bad of a job grading. I was curious to see what was the difference gonna be, but it's not perfect, but it's good enough for who it's for. All right. Huh, that one is not even touching the ground. All right, got my supports, knocked over the water dish. Got that other. Now just to slap that up on the other side. Yeah. All right, I scored these 2 garage doors. So I got 2 7-foot tall by 10-foot wide garage doors here. They are pretty beat up and pretty old. However, hard to beat the price of them. So idea is here, I want to try and make one good door out of the 2 of them and put it right there centered on that wall. I'm not really sure when I'm going to get to this, so I need to make some room in here so I can get really that whole setup in there, because I finally got plates for that car. All right, I got plates, so I can finally start driving this thing again. I'm gonna throw the plates on this, and then I can get my doors tucked in here out of the way. All right, got this thing out of the barn. I do not like the way that looks at all. Unfortunately, Virginia's a front plate state. I don't plan on leaving this car registered in this state. I'm gonna run it for a while before switching it over, like my Xterra, but for now, I'm just gonna run it like that, I guess. All right, I've been prolonging putting this door in for like, I don't know, like 6 weeks now. So I think I'm finally gonna just go ahead and bite the bullet. I'm gonna try and get this done now. Of course, in order to get that done, the door is gonna be right here, so I have to move all this stuff. Then I've got more stuff to move in order to make room for this stuff. I'm basically probably just gonna spend the next 2 hours just moving stuff around to try and make room so I can have space to work. All right, I got all that stuff removed from this wall. I have just created a mess because now I can't get to anything. And I have a hard time finding everything, but it's out of my way for now. Not explaining a whole lot because, like I said, I'm really just kind of doing this without, I don't want to say any idea what I'm doing, but I'm not very familiar with it. So I've made up, yes, I know it's not very straight, but this temporary pole to hold up my ceiling, which is very solid. At least that's what I'm telling myself. I've got these 2 poles here, or posts, I should say. And what these posts are going to do is, from inside to inside is exactly 10 foot. Actually, I made it 1/8 of an inch less than 10 foot for my garage door, because my garage door is exactly 10 foot. All right. Here is the beam that is going to be my garage door header. I just made it. It is 3.5 by 8.5. I got this beam up. Actually looks pretty good. So I have a lot more bracing to do before I take out my support post here. All right, kind of give some context to what I'm doing now. I've got the post removed and blocked up there. All right, so in the little bit of research I did, which I probably should have done more, this says you start with your bottom panel and you want to put your rollers on, and then your vertical tracks, the ones that go on your sides here, you put the rollers in and then you use that to get your center, or to center your door, excuse me. And then these pieces connect up top. And then we'll have to run back and I will drop down something to attach them up there. Likes to create issues. What's the matter? Huh? You causing issues? Look at this grass. Like, it's terrible but good at the same time. All right, I got my vertical rails in and the bottom 3 panels in. The top one I cannot put on because those rollers are gonna end up right about here, and I need to put on the upper horizontal ones. All right, I skipped a couple steps. As I've probably said 30 times already, I have no clue what I'm doing really, besides from the little bit of research I've done. I've got my bar across the top up. Got those set screws tightened down, got the cable ran around, going to the bottom of the door. So this is the worst part, and the dangerous part that I have been told, is tightening that spring. All right. All right, it's staying, so I guess that means it's tensioning good. Got those tied up, took out the temp wall. I was very pleasantly surprised. I would have thought it would have settled a little bit. It did not whatsoever. Came back, put some 1/2-inch rod, 3 pieces in on both sides. Wish I had a little bit longer drill bit. That only went in about 2.5 inches into there. Went back, added some more screws. I do still want to nail this more from the outside, but I really needed to get that pole out so I can open this door to cut the hole. All right, that cable came off, which I couldn't get on very good. I might be able to get it on now that it's up in the air. And this one's all loose. So I guess I need to figure out why that's doing that. All right, there's just one small problem with this door now. there's not a hole for the doorway opening, so we are going to change that. Right? That was extremely close to my car. Man, right as I push out, I'm like, man, I don't remember how close I parked there. It was pretty close. That top got a little tore up. I really probably couldn't have picked a worse tool for the job, that thing. I don't know, maybe it wasn't that bad, but that was not very fun. So I'm gonna do a little bit of organization because I just want to try and get that thing in here just because I've got this done now. Here's ET for a reference. Like almost all the way in, not quite. Got plenty of clearance. I was worried about clearance. That is only a 7-foot garage door. So I do know, like, there's a hole there that was spinning in, but I'm gonna get some gravel at some point too. Got a lock, doorknob, gonna replace these. All right. Screws. Look at that. 3 sets of keys. Okay, doorknob. And a striker plate, which I didn't have before. Perfect. All right, now this one's probably gonna be a little bit harder. Okay, a bunch of hardware. internal one. All right, easy part's done. Got that in. Doorknob. I have to make that hole a little bit bigger. All right, lock's good. Opens. New striker pad for both those. Okay, let's put some batteries in this, and I bet you half the battle is just gonna be programming the thing. All right, so I've been messing with trying to program this thing for literally like a half hour. I can't figure it out. You know, I had bought another one. It was a Kiwi Set one, which is a little bit more known brand. This is just a cheap one I got online. And I could never figure out how to program that one either. This one is the same exact way, so I guess I'm still stuck using a key, which I was trying to avoid, but you know, it is kind of nice if you forget your keys, which I often do because I drive multiple vehicles, that you can just punch in a passcode. I got a combination code lock on the garage door, but I guess I'm stuck using keys with this. I'm gonna try and see if I can find a video of somebody using this and programming it because I can't figure it out. Another thing I find really weird about this, and I see that this is twisted, but for whatever reason it doesn't want to open, but just maybe a quarter of the way. But then if you use the keys, you put this in here, first time, like, it opens perfectly fine. And this thing, it turns perfectly fine when the key's in there, but then the second I take the key out, it doesn't want to turn. All right, just gotta do that 9 more times. Got those up. Got those up. Those are more or less just to keep the birds out. All right, let's tackle these doors. All right. Let's put a wall here. All right, got this wall up. From the outside. No more door. I don't know what's going on with my time lapses. They're not working again, so I guess that's just done. Which starting to rain a little bit.
Now, just gotta trim out this opening. I do like this weather this time of year, but man, it sucks when it gets dark at like 4. All right. What you think, healer? It's pretty cool. I got all this extra room in here now. I could very easily shut this garage door and still be able to walk around the back. Burning up some of this extra material I didn't need. Good size fire here. You know, this stuff gets so brittle. You know, this really shouldn't build a building out of this stuff if you want it to last more than a couple of years. But really, that's all I need this to last for, is just a few years. Somehow that stuff is going to go around the sides and cover up this gap, and also that gap on the top. All right, that sealed up that door pretty good. All right, with that being said, I think this project's pretty much done. I still have some small stuff I'm going to continue to pick away at. Like, I'm not a huge fan of the way the top of that door looks. I feel I'm gonna go back and do something a little bit different above there. A couple other things, like trimming off some rafters and stuff. You know, I still got to put some gravel here because that's a little steep. It's going to be hard for me to get my car in there. This goes in fine. Yeah, like those rafters I got to trim off down there still. Just some small stuff that's just going to take a couple minutes. Overall, I'm super happy to finally have this basically done. Here's kind of another look at the inside. You know, I'm probably going to take some more time to reorganize and kind of figure out where I want everything set up. This is just kind of how I have it at the moment. Anyways, I've been putting off so much other stuff trying to get this done. You know, I started this back in April, right when the leaves first came out, and tomorrow's Thanksgiving. So another thing, I'm going to run electrical. I'm kind of sick of messing with generators. So that's coming up soon too. Yeah, I'm ready to finally get on to doing some other projects now that I have this done. Another thing I want to address, I know a lot of people are going to not agree with the way I built this. And the thing is, I know it's not square. I know it's not perfect. All the lumber I made off of this sawmill here. So it's all rough sawn stuff. And this thing's really cool. It's just really hard to get stuff perfect with it. Plus, the original part that I built when I was a lot younger, you know, I didn't pay attention as much as I probably should have, which really didn't help when I built the addition now. But overall, for me, it keeps my tools dry. I can keep stuff locked up in it. It's great for me. You know, this did not cost a bunch of money. In the future, I would really like to do a good shop build, but in order to do it the way I want to do it, it's going to be expensive. So this is gonna be good enough for me in the time being until I can build my actual shop. In here. Anyways, like I said, tomorrow's Thanksgiving, and I started this back at the beginning of April, so it's been a little while, so I'm glad to finally have this done. What you think? What we're gonna work on next? I think it's gonna be that, but I could be wrong. We'll see what we get into. All right, I guess let's work on something else now.